State laws and the IRS require that companies maintain a list of their owners. That's the purpose of the owner register. It makes it easy to track the transactions involving ownership of the company. There are several ways to open the Enter Transactions form. One is to click the owner register bar, then the Certificates button. Then click the Create a Transaction button. Second, you can click the Owner Register button under All Forms on the navigation toolbar. It opens the Owner Register where you can click the Owner Transaction form. The reason the Enter Transactions form needs to be accessed from another form is so that the company can be selected first. Once the company is selected and the form is opened, the name of the company appears in the upper left of the form. Select the type of ownership at the top right. If the types of ownership are not correct for the selected company, return to the Owner Register. Select Tools from the main menu, then select Titles for Ownership. Then you can rename the types of ownership. Ownership can be stocks, units of ownership, or any other form of ownership. But here I'll refer to the ownership as shares just to simplify this process. There are two sides to a transaction, the seller side and the buyer side. The top half of the Enter Transactions form deals with the seller side. Here you will select the seller and the type of ownership that is being traded. There are three types of owners. First are the names of people on the People Profile form. They're listed under Individual Owners. Second are groups of people and companies that are not being tracked by the software. They originate in the Group Owners form. The third type of owner includes all companies that are being tracked by the software. These names come from the Company Profile form. Right now there are no names in any of the lists because there are no transactions and no owners in the database. We'll review 5 types of transactions. An initial issue, one seller trading with one buyer, one seller trading with multiple buyers, multiple sellers trading with one buyer, and the issuing company reacquiring its own stock. After the initial offer, owners' names will appear in the 3 pull-down lists. Only current owners appear in these lists, and during the initial offer, the list of certificates held will remain empty. On the buyer's half of the form, we need to indicate who the new owner will be. All of the people who are marked as associated with a selected company on the People Profile form appear in the first pull-down list. The second pull-down list contains all of the groups and companies listed on the Group Owner form. The third list contains all of the companies that are being tracked in the database, minus the company that is issuing the stock. The issuing company can buy its own stock, and that's what the buyback button is for. But this is an initial issue, so there's no reason for the company to issue stock to itself. Select the buyer's name from one of the 3 lists. If more than one person and/or company will be owners of the same stock, the partnership needs to be entered in the Group Owner form. Even if these owners might already be on the People Profile or Company Profile form, they need to be entered as a group on the Group Owner form so their names will appear as co-owners here. The first certificate number appears in the first box, but it can be changed and it can be numeric or alphanumeric. Let's enter some data to illustrate the types of transactions. Let's say George Wilson has obtained 1,000 shares of stock for a total of $10,000. George might have been one of the initial organizers of the company, and the value of his work helping to establish the company can be entered in the Value of Transaction text box. Some states or the IRS may require reporting such transactions, and that's the reason for the tax stamp ID. You can return to this transaction and enter the ID at a later time. Now enter 1,000 shares in the transaction in the Share Units text box. Be sure to enter the date of the transaction and certificate transfer date. Check over the information to be sure that it's correct, then press the Add button. The information that was entered appears in the list at the bottom of the form. You can delete it by selecting the row and pressing the Delete button, or by pressing the Cancel and Close Form button. When you're sure that the information is accurate, press the Create Transactions button and the transaction is saved to the database.